Now at 5, tense moments for a group of people who had to be rescued from a Bay Area marsh after their hot air balloon was forced to make an emergency landing. Good evening, I'm Brian Hackney.
And I'm Juliette Goodrich. The balloon made the sudden landing at about 11 o'clock this morning in a marsh near the Napa River just west of Vallejo. 12 people were in the basket of the balloon at the time, and luckily no one was seriously hurt.
KPIX 5's Katie Nielsen has exclusive video of the CHP helicopter rescue. She is live at Sonoma Skypark. Katie?
Yeah, Brian, this is where that balloon actually took off this morning. Right now, what we're hearing from emergency responders is the balloon pilot told them during the flight the winds were blowing about 50 miles an hour. That was pushing the balloon towards some power lines. So the pilot decided to land in a marsh area near Skaggs Island. And when the tide came in, that's when the CHP helicopter was called for help.
This balloon had a bright yellow balloon on it, so that stood out pretty well amongst the brown background that it was laying down on.
CHP helicopter pilot Rich Jones was the one who first spotted the downed balloon and recorded everything he was seeing using the onboard cameras.
We were able to use our camera system and zoom in and start getting a head count, and we could see that everybody was up on their feet, so it didn't appear that anybody was injured. The
balloon pilot, Jeff Spear, did not want to talk with us on camera, but told us the balloon took off from the usual location at Sonoma Skypark at sunrise, which this morning was right around 7 a.m. He said there were 11 passengers on board. Half were staff members of the balloon company, Sonoma Ballooning Adventures. The rest were paying guests. Spear said the plan was to land near the Napa airport.
Maybe they got caught up in some wind that they weren't expecting.
The balloon came to rest in a marsh area directly across the Napa River from Vallejo. CHP pilots say the balloon captain used his cell phone to talk with emergency dispatchers.
And luckily, we had the details that said nobody was injured, so we were able to leave a majority of our medical gear behind, so that way we could load more people in.
The CHP pilots were able to fly 3 people out at a time, carrying them across the Napa River to nearby Delta Meadows Park in Vallejo, where those passengers were met by waiting paramedics. They say everyone made it out just in time.
By the time we flew the last 3 off the island, we were in about ankle deep to maybe a foot of water at that point. So the tide was definitely coming in, and I'm glad that we were able to get to them when we did.
The helicopter ride wasn't supposed to be part of the scenic wine country balloon tour, but CHP pilots say everyone seemed to take it in stride.
We got a lot of thank yous and taps on the shoulders, saying thank you for getting them out of where they were.
Now, amazingly, no one was injured during this entire ordeal. There is a little confusion about what exactly happened. Emergency responders, including CHP, says this was a very unexpected landing, and they're just thankful no one was hurt. But when I talked with the balloon company, a representative told me this is basically business as usual, and it's normal for them to land in a marsh like this. Brian?
Well, Katie, we understand the balloon company has a bit of history with CHP chopper rescues. Is that right?
Yeah, this is actually the second time in 2 years that CHP has made a rescue. Now, Sonoma Balloon Adventures is actually operated by Balloon Pacific, which also runs Napa Valley balloons. Back in May of 2016, some passengers on a Napa Valley balloon made an emergency landing in a marsh closer to Napa, and CHP helicopters once again had to come in and pick up those passengers.
All right, Katie Nielsen at Sonoma Skypark. Katie, thank you.
Well, Chopper 5 spotted a crew working to retrieve the balloon starting around noon. And first they had to tie up the deflated balloon and get it back to the spot where the basket had landed. Then they carried it slowly across the marsh. Each of 7 men held a section of the yellow balloon as they trudged through the weeds and water. They were heading for a boat that they had left floating in a small, muddy inlet. Then they worked to jam the balloon into the front of the boat along with a tangle of ropes attached to it. And you can see it took quite an effort to get everything to fit inside. Now, after that was done, they went back to pick up several large propane tanks. They had to carry 3 separate tanks across the marsh from the balloon basket all the way to the boat.